things that we have done in our history. In short, Professor Rogers said, I felt I have looked into books and dug up buried knowledge that many college professors or doctors of philosophy do not know exist. Because just as there is a life in the deeper depths of the ocean that the average fisherman knows nothing about, there are depths in the ocean of research which some of the most learned have never dreamed. I always get a kick out of them telling one of our scholars that that's not true, they didn't know that. Well, just because you didn't know that don't mean that's not true, because you didn't know that. So sit down, be quiet, and learn it. That's right. But it appears that if they don't know it, it's not true. It is estimated that in the library of France alone, there are 8 million books and pieces of printed material. How much does the most educated man alive know of the totality of knowledge in these books? Very, very little. One is forever learning. Truly, as Sir Isaac Newton once said as he looked out on the ocean, that there he was picking up pebbles onto the beach as it were while the vast ocean of explored knowledge lay before him. That's how large information is. It's unbounded, infinite. In fact, what I do with students sometimes, I often say that, let's say you started reading at the age of 8, and let's say every week of your life you read 3 books, and you lived to be 88. That would be 80 years of reading. So you multiply 3 times 52, which becomes 156, and then you multiply 80 times 156. It comes out to a little over, I believe, 12,000 books. When you think that's how many books, and that's when you read 3 books a week, every year of your life. See, the key in life is not to read a lot of books. The key in life is to read the right books. And that is why scholars and mentors like Professor Clark and Dr. Edward Scobie and Dr. Shashi McIntyre, and those amongst us today, Dr. Ben, all of our scholars, why they are so important to us, because they knocked down all of the pitfalls that they went through. And I would hope that what I've learned from them in terms of choosing the right book, that there may have been books that would have been better to be chosen. Maybe the later generations can take those books. So that by quantum leap, by geometric progression, our peoples and our nations will learn without having to read so many books. Because reading is not the only way that you can get information. There are many different ways that you can get information. But because books sell money and we are money bound, we encourage buying books. That's why you know in the Board of Ed, you know something else in the Board of Ed. You know when you go to high school and you study math, what's freshman math? Say it, you're not the accelerated course. What's the first math you always learn in high school? Algebra, or algebra as the Moors call it. Algebra. And then the second year, you learn things in literacy. You ever wonder why they're trying to push reading down our children's throats? But reading is not the first step in literacy. Speaking and listening. Children, look at children. You tell stories to children, and this is what we do even with adult cases. I encourage to do this. You begin by just developing an understanding of listening to a story. That builds up a child's vocabulary. It builds up their listening skills. It builds up their attention skills. It builds up their concentration skills. They listen. Then they speak. In other words, they may repeat a word. You say ball, say ball, say kwame. You'll have them repeating. So from listening comes speaking. You're feeding their encyclopedia brain, and now they're pulling forward these words that you've asked. So then comes speaking. So the best listeners become the best speakers. The best speakers then become the best readers. And then the best readers become the best writers. And just like algebra, geometry, and trigonometry, there is a natural process. In literacy, it's listening, speaking, reading, and writing. So now, go into the Board of Education and look at all these reading programs they have after school for all of our children that can't read. And then ask them, what is your perception of oral history? What role do you think oral history plays in this education? They say, what book did you find that in? Because you can buy a book, you can't buy oral history. Not only that, But the people who would be teaching it don't understand oral history because they really don't talk to each other. You don't believe me? Go in their neighborhood. They're not outside. They're not a social people. But if you grew up in the ice, you wouldn't be social either. And you can only be as great as your earliest memories. But when you're in a warm climate, and your schools are under baobab trees and yagba trees, and when the fruit is all around you that drops at your feet when it's ready, when you build verandas, and in some of our homes we don't even have a roof because it doesn't rain, and when we have a town square where we all meet, where we just sit on our porch, you could see us as a people. The first thing they always want to do when something breaks is curse you. Because they know we are an assembling people. We are an outdoors people. That was our environment. There's nothing unnatural about that. That's natural for us to do this. Classrooms are nothing more than caves. We didn't learn in school buildings. We started learning, and even in Africa, we started learning in school buildings when the Europeans came. And that's because they had to hide out of the sun. We out there in the sun, they say, come on in, come on in. We say, well, what? They say, no. They say, hand me my hat. Because they can't deal with the sun. So that now that we have our children in these classrooms, we sit them down, we don't let them move, we don't let them talk. Then we wonder, we miseducate them, then we want to know what's wrong with them. I want to know what's wrong with us. One of the greatest challenges I've had in my career here in New York for 22 years has been attempting to tear down the classroom wall by presenting to staff and letting them understand that whether you like it or not, you are the children's parent while you're in that classroom. Every teacher is a parent, whether you like it or not. I don't want to hear this, I'm not their parent. Yes, you are. And if you don't like it, get out of teaching. Right. Just like if a doctor said, I don't like to operate, I'd think you're crazy. If a lawyer said, I don't like to go to court, you're not going to defend me. So why are we surprised what's happening to our children? When all of this kind of information is left out in the curriculum, children sit down and learn about Euclid's geometry, not knowing that was an African with a Greek name. One of the finest mathematicians that ever lived, her name was Hypatia. We don't know that was a sister. We don't teach our young ladies that math and science was born out of the mind of the African woman. And for millions of years, she kept the secrets of math and science until brothers began to develop the technology that would assist in edifices. And that's the first time that brothers ever really learned math and science. Necessity is the mother of invention. Men have no reason to start to count. But women have a natural process that they go through that would make them have to prepare themselves on a 29, 30-day cycle. So that was inbred in the nature of a woman to begin to count. And this woman realized that this 30-day period went through a kind of 4 cycles. And she realized that they came in successions of 7 days. And then she looked up into the sky and she saw that there was a celestial body that also had a 29, 30-day cycle. And that was the birth from our sisters, and I thank you very much for this, of astronomy. That was the birth of the calendar. Because no matter what calendar you have, whether it be a month, which is a lunar calendar, a yearly calendar, a star calendar, or the great calendar of 26,000 years, every calendar, just like a clock is based on 60 seconds, a calendar is based on the lunar cycle. It is the lowest common denominator to be able to calibrate your day. This came out of the mind of an African woman, taught from mother to daughter, who kept this information that developed a society that aided us to be where we are today. And it wasn't until those Romans, Augustus and Julius, got jealous, ego, and said, I'm more important. So not only am I going to name this month August, I'm going to take a day from February, and I'm going to have 31 days. And then Julius said, or vice versa, well, who is he? I'm going to take a day from February, and I'm going to make it July. And we haven't known what time it is since then.
Break it down, brother, break it down.
We have been off our calendar. You think it's 2001? No, it's not 2001. is roundabout there, but it's not 2001. That's why you always get your clock always have to adjust some seconds. When that's coming